Think about the last time you walked into a Starbucks. Maybe the line was long, maybe the mobile orders were piling up, maybe there was one barista that somehow kept the entire place moving with a smile and hey, what's up for every regular. Starbucks is now trying to bottle that skill and scale it. The company says it will hire thousands of coffee coaches just this year, full in time store leaders focused on making operations smoother and customer experiences better. Most of those roles will go to existing baristas already. After piloting the idea that in half a dozen markets last year, Starbucks found that having these coaches on site helped both guest satisfaction and business performance. All of this is happening as CEO Brian Nichols works on turning the company itself around after a stretch of disappointing quarters. Welcome to Business Insights Daily. I'm your host, Shank. What happens when the person who trains you on an espresso machine also quietly becomes the store's mini co founder? As you listen, keep this in the back of your mind. If Starbucks can turn frontline baristas into in store coaches, it can fix its biggest problems with more tech and better leadership on the floor. Let's start with the role itself. Starbucks is describing coffee house coaches as full in store leaders who work shoulder to shoulder with baristas. People who focus on day to day operations like workflow behind the bar, order accuracy and speed, cleanliness, and store readiness. Mentors who can train new partners, Starbucks word for employees, give real feedback time, and help smooth out rough patches during peak hours. This is not a distinct manager who pops in once a week. It's not an assistant manager juggling schedules and paperwork in his back office. It's an on the floor role built on the idea that small operational decisions made in real time can make or break customers' experience. Starbucks says that most coaches will be internal hires. Shifts, baristas, and shift supervisors already know the rhythm, regulars, and pain points at the stores. And that's important because it frames this as a career step instead of a whole new cast of outsiders parachuting in. A way to keep talented people who might otherwise leave the real management job somewhere else here. Is this a new job title or a quiet redesign of real management jobs somewhere else? Which can lead to the second question. When you add a full time coach into the mix, are you giving someone promotion or are you fundamentally changing who makes a decision and how quickly they get implemented? Starbucks didn't roll this out overnight. Back in October, the company started testing coffee house coaches in about half a dozen markets. Watching what happens when these roles were embedded in stores. According to Starbucks, the pilot showed better customer experiences, meaning shorter wait times and fewer remakes, smoother handling of complex orders and peak rushes, improved business performance, which likely includes higher sales per hour during busy hours, fewer bottlenecks that cause people to abandon lines, and improved consistency that brings back regulars instead of driving them to competitors. If you ever watch a really strong shift lead in any restaurant or cafe, this makes intuitive sense. They see the line forming before it hits the door. They know when to call someone up from the bar to the register or vice versa. And they keep morale up when the ticker printer doesn't seem to stop. Starbucks is effectively saying let's formalize this skill set, pay for it, and make it someone's explicit job. For a company that has complaints with slow services, order mistakes, and an overwhelming menu, this is a way of betting that execution, not just new drinks or apps, is where the turnaround has to start. The turnaround context. Why now? This move lives inside a much broader story about Starbucks over the last couple of years. For example, the company has faced softening same store sales in some markets, operational strains, complex custom drinks, heavy mobile order load, and inconsistent staffing is always a problem. labor tensions, including unionization, drives, and debates about working conditions and pay. Brian Nickel, who has a track record as a turnaround specialist, is now trying to stabilize operations so that the basic experience, ordering, waiting, and getting a drink, feels reliable again. He's trying to re-energize the brand, not just through new products, but through how those products are delivered. Investing in talent so that the frontline workers see a future at Starbucks instead of just a stopover job. Coffee house coaches sit at the intersection of goals. It's a tool for consistency, making sure that playbooks actually get executed in the chaos of a morning rush. It's a signal to employees that high performers can move up without leaving the store environment that they love. And it's a turnaround bet that if you fix the basics at the store level, financial metrics will follow. Can you fix a global brand, one store, one coach at a time? Which brings us to our third, arguably much bigger question. Oh, for a company, tens, thousands of locations, is rolling out thousands of coaches enough to genuinely change the culture and performance, or will it take something even bigger? For baristas, the arrival of coffee house coaches feel a few different ways. On the upside, it's more mentoring. New hires may get better, faster training instead of being thrown into the deep end during a rush. Clearer pathways. If you like the craft and the pace of store life, but don't jump straight into a major trading route, then it's your way to go. SpaceX ensures that one of the most promising AI coding tools is aligned with its own roadmap. What this means inside of SpaceX? Inside SpaceX, this acquisition would touch almost every engineering team. Imagine flight software engineers using SpaceX tuned cursor to quickly prompt new guidance algorithms, generate rigorous test suites, and surface edge cases in simulations. Starlink engineers using it to optimize routing protocols, analyze telemetry streams and incident logs more intelligently, and co-design firmware and backend services. Data scientists and AI researchers are using it to move faster between experiments and production, as well as maintain complex pipelines with AI help in refactoring and documentation. If done well, the result is a higher leverage per engineer. The same headcount can ship more, fast more. More consistent quality AI assistants don't just get tired, they also get faster. They can enforce patterns and best practices. Number 2, faster boarding. New hires can lean into AI to help them understand sprawling databases. But there are also challenges. Integrating a general purpose AI safety coding tool into critical domains requires extreme rigor. An incorrect line of code in a rocket or satellite system is not the same as a bug in a web app. Culture matters. SpaceX engineering culture is known for its high intensity standards and high standards. Introducing AI changes how people work and collaborate. The upside is huge. The tool require very, very hard handrails. The bigger picture. SpaceX has space and AI conglomerate. Taken together, the IPO and Cursor deal, SpaceX is starting to look less like a pure space launch company and more like a space plus AI platform group. Consider the pieces: launches and spacecraft, hardware manufacturing operations. Starlink, a global connectivity network with growing enterprise and government ties. AI infrastructure, data, compute, and other cases embedded in rockets, satellites, and ground systems, and developed tools. Cursor, layer that shapes how internal and potentially external software is built. The architecture resembles a kind of vertically integrated infrastructure empire from orbit all the way down to IDE where code is written. A portfolio where each piece reinforces others. Better AI tools, fast Starlink and rocket development, more launches and satellites, more data and use cases for AI, and stronger internal AI culture. More reason to own and refine a premium coding assistant. For other tech giants, it's also a shoot across the bow. Cloud providers are investing into their own AI coding and assistant tools. Hardware makers are trying to add more software and services on top. And SpaceX is doing a version of both. It anchored around space and connectivity rather than the traditional cloud. So the next time you hear about a rocket launch, Starlink rollout, it might be worth remembering. Somewhere beneath those feeds, there's a growing stack of AI-powered software, and now one of the tools that writes that software belongs to the same company that sends those rockets into the sky. Thank you for listening to Business Insights Daily. I'm your host Shank, and we'll see you tomorrow.